Hello? Hey everybody. So, these are exciting times. You know when you're ever like a kid and people tell you about centaurs, minotaurs or whatever they're called, Greek gods, etc. and you're like, yeah, sure that's a great story, but it's impossible. Or is it? Recently, I've been reading and I learned some things. What? You can learn by reading? Anyway, it's quite fascinating. So I've brought in some books with me and some notes to delve into. Is it possible that these creatures can be real? And based upon what I've read, it is possible. And there's only two possible ways that creatures can be real, and that is fallen angels and humans. So, how do you know fallen angels are real? The Bible says in several books, and the Josephus, who's a popular historian, also says. So now I'm going to read to you from scripture. So, I'm backing up myself, and Genesis 6 says that, and it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, sons of God, daughters of men, so they're angels, and that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. I like to point out also that they didn't get married. Took is raped. They raped these women. Okay. And the Lord said, my spirit shall always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his day shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, and after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children unto them, the same became mighty men, which were of old men of renown. And God saw the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And anyway, so it says right there are giants. And most Greek gods, so fallen angels created Nephilim by raping women. And most fake Greek gods are giant and can do great feats, like jump over things really high. Another book, Josephus, the historian, also mentions fallen angels. And so I was going to read this part real quick. And it says, but for what degree, this is chapter 3 by the way, of zeal they had formerly shown for virtue, they now showed by their actions a double degree of wickedness, whereby they made God to be their enemy. For many angels of God accompanied with women, and begat sons that proved unjust, and despisers of all that was good, on account of the confidence that they had in their own strength. For the tradition is that these men resembled the acts of what the Grecians called giants. So basically, that's also what Goliath was. A little more into this, and I'll get on to evidence of them being like cross-species animals, okay? Don't worry. Okay, this is the book of Jasher. This is a very interesting book. And so the Bible we know as of today was put together by several people. So basically, hopefully you know this, but I feel like there's something in my eyelash, my bad. Okay. The Bible is composed of several years, centuries, of different stories, different people. And when they put the actual Bible together, which was several scripts, they neglected to put some of the books in, one of them being Jasher, and one of them being Enoch, and I think the Book of Jubilees, and there's a couple others. So the Book of Jasher is an amazing book. What's interesting, we'll get back to this later. What's interesting also from the Book of Enoch of why it's possible that humans, so the theory that humans can do it is that they can make animals/humans is genetic mixing. So apparently scientists have actually been trying to mix animals and humans for around 30 years. I was reading some articles online. One was from BBC. I'll try to link it down below. And they're trying to mix supposedly parts of different species so that humans have livers, etc., or we're stronger. But that's not right, because that's playing God and we're not God. I'll touch more on that later. Okay, so what's interesting about the Book of Enoch, which I don't have with me here at the moment, is that it talks about fallen angels teaching men all these things they didn't know before, like how to work metal into making weapons. And think of that, like, if we had never learned to make metal weapons, maybe we wouldn't have had war. It would have taken us a lot longer, at least, to start war. So that's one thing. Another was makeup. And I thought that was quite interesting because, like, in today's society, we always put on makeup, me included. But imagine, like, before makeup was ever created, like, I think that it takes away from God, because God made us all perfect the way we were. And I think that by angels teaching this, I did read somewhere that they said it was for pagan practices, but by angels teaching this, I think that makeup makes us more focused on vanity and ourselves and our appearance, rather than what's important spiritually, which is pleasing God and having a relationship with Christ. So I think that's why man wasn't necessarily supposed to know about makeup, but I just thought that was interesting that they taught them that. And the third thing, among others, that they taught them was astrology. And so reading of the stars, and that's one of the things that some people are obsessed with now is, what does my sign tell me? And they follow it, and that's also deep going into that, and believing only that is also like a form of witchcraft, and it's against God. So, interesting facts there. I learned in the Book of Enoch. Now, to get on to the part that we've all been waiting for. The Book of Jasher, when I was reading it a year or so ago, in chapter 36 and verses 28 through 35, talks about man, beasts, and fallen angels also being after Jacob's time, Jacob and Esau's time. So basically they were before the flood, and they started coming again after the flood. So a few generations after Jacob and Esau, in case you don't know, Jacob is Israel, and he's the one that founded the 12 tribes, and that Israel's named after him. Little backstory there. Okay, so a few generations after Esau, in the Book of Jasher, which again is not in the actual Bible that we have right now, 36, it says, I'm on the wrong page, verse 28. Okay. And let's see. And the sons, And the sons of Shubal were, blah, blah, blah. Okay, they're telling me the sons. And one of them was Anna. This was that Anna, A-N-A-H, Anna, sorry for my pronunciation here, who found the Yemen in the wilderness when he fed the asses of Zibeon, his father. And whilst he was feeding his father's asses, he led them to the wilderness at different times to feed them. And there was a day that he brought them to one of the deserts on the seashore, opposite the wilderness of the people. And whilst he was feeding them, behold, a very heavy storm came from the other side of the sea and rested upon the asses that were feeding there, and they all stood still. And afterward, about 120 great and terrible animals came from the wilderness at the other side of the sea, and they all came to the place where the asses were, and they placed themselves there. And these animals, from their middle downward, were in the shape of the children of men. And from their middle upward, some had the likeness of bears, and some the likeness of the... The word they give is Kipilas. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, so I'll spell it for you. Keepilias. So, Keepilas. With tails behind them from their shoulders reaching down to the earth, like the tails of the Dutch Kleepath, Ducheephath. And these animals came and mounted and rode upon these asses, because they had human legs, and led them away, and they went away unto this day. And one of these animals approached Anna and smote him with his tail, and fled from that place. And when he saw this work, he was exceedingly afraid of his life, and he fled and escaped to the city. And he related to his sons and brothers all that had happened to him, and many men went to seek the asses, but could not find them. And Anna and his brothers went no more to that place from that day following, for they were greatly afraid for their lives. Okay, you guys, imagine, I was shooketh when I read this, mind blown. Okay, you own cattle, and you're going out to feed them or whatever, and then you see these half human, half animal, some with bears on. Also, I tried looking up these two types of animals on Google, and Google didn't know what they were either. Anyway, you see these half animal, half man creatures like staring at you. Then they jump on your cattle, they ride away with them, and they steal them. But some of them have tails. They come out of their, like, between their shoulder blades, and they have like bear or cow heads, but man legs. Then one of them goes over to you and whacks you in the face with its tail. Like, would that not be like hella scary or whatever? Like, I would be like, it's just hard to imagine, but just please imagine that. That is real. That I did not believe that half animals and half humans could exist until I read the Book of Jasher. So that is as far as I'm concerned, this is real. That is my proof. Now, yeah, please, so basically the writing, this is really tiny, but I recommend everybody buy this book and read it, because there's so much detail in here of things that happened that they never talk about in the regular Bible. Like, the beginning, side note, the beginning of this book is like more on the life of Abraham, and just very fascinating, Nimrod, and how a lot of Nephilim and weird things were mixed in, how they like sacrificed, like, they cut off dead heads, and then they like put coins in their mouths and did sacrifices to them. Demonic spirits possessed the heads, and it's freaky shit. But luckily, that's hopefully not happening as much today, and that luckily I'm blessed that I believe in God, so I know that if I ever saw one of these creatures, I wouldn't be super scared, because I know that God protects me, but that'd still be like, don't come near me, Okay, so the reason that it could be angels that have created them, fallen angels, is because if angels could breed with humans, and I'm guessing, I again don't know, because I can't really, I'm only human. I'm guessing that since before it's said that God made man in his image, that humans and angels, when angels take when they take a physical form, that they look similar to angels, like they don't look like another animal. But we at least know, at the very least, that angels could breed with humans. Therefore, that opens the question, or, topic, whatever, that they could breed with any other animal and create a hybrid, a half human, half animal. And that's really disgusting, because you're like, bestiality. Why would anybody want to do that? But I guess if they, or fallen angels, that they, kind of are like demons now. Ooh, and then another interesting thing my mom was telling me from her readings is that Nephilim no longer, we all have spirits, but Nephilim didn't have souls, so, like, she heard that when they died or something, that, they could be possessed by demonic, entities, because they weren't created from God. They weren't flesh and blood. They were created from a fallen angel. Anyway, and then the other theory that humans have been making the animal people is that they learned how to do it. They learned all these things from the angels, and they started, genetic splicing, trying to play God. And you know what happens when people try to play God? What happened last time? There was a big flood and the whole earth was destroyed, because we're not God. So anyway, the point of this is for listening with my crazy notes and while having to look stuff up is, no, you know what, don't take my word for it, but be open to believing that it's a possibility, and please do your own research, because knowledge is power, and you should never trust any other person. You should never just fully believe any other person by what they say, because for all you know, they could be misleading you and leading you down the wrong path. This, to my best of my being, this is what I read and this is what I believe. And also the Bible has been proven many times over to be factual. And so, the book of Josephus is he's a historian. So, he's real, And so, yes, just maybe dealing with rude humans these days doesn't seem so bad when you think that you could be dealing with half human, half animals instead. So just something to think about. And thank you for watching, and thank you for exploring with me. I love expanding my mind. So thank you so much, and have a great day, and do your research. God bless. Peace.